Morning, everybody. This is Sudan. This is the first panel we have for the second day. With me is Yote. Everybody knows Yote. Say hi, Yote.
Hi, Yote.
Yeah, as I thought. And then with us, a very special and honored guest, Wolvinny. Wolvinny, why don't you tell everybody a bit more about yourself?
Oh, hello, everybody. Thank you for having me, Sudan and Yote. My name is Wolvinny, and I'm from the Netherlands. And I've been a furry and fursuiter since 2012. So I'm going towards my 10th year of being a city furry. And I have 2 fursuits, and I did a lot of stuff with it and went to many conventions. So that's why people were thinking, like, maybe she can tell maybe beginner furries about fursuits and that kind of stuff. So yes, I'm going to give it a try. I'm here to tell.
The reason we actually asked you is because of your great experience in the field. I think the first time I saw you was at Confuzzle 2016. You were there with Coco, and Coco is adorable, by the way.
Thank you.
Another you were walking around with a bubble butt t-shirt.
The bubble butt shirt.
Yes, you remember that? And
yes.
And fursuiting is just taking off in South Africa. We do have a handful of really good makers, and we thought that having a bit of a fursuit 101 would be, you know, a good thing to have for our community, since we are just getting into fursuiting, so that we can do it right from the very beginning.
That's interesting. Yes. And do you have a fursuit, Sudan?
Do have a partial fursuit. The actual fursuit here is Yote, who has a full suit. Yote, tell us.
Yeah, so I've got a full suit that I made myself. A lot of work. And yeah, I just really enjoy the fursuiting.
Nice.
And Yote is one of our, I think, one of our 2 or 3 full fursuit owners. And there is a lot of partials running around. But as I say, most of the fursuits are, how old is your fursuit, Yote? Maybe 6 years, 5 years?
Yeah, so my fursuit, his name is Vex. He's going on, I think I built him in 2016, if I remember correctly. So what, that's 6 years now?
Yeah.
No, fuck, I can't do. Yeah, 5 years.
How do you not do maths?
I just threw away my name, didn't I?
It's okay, you didn't have a calculator.
This is true, they are my crutch.
So, Wolvinny, yeah, can you maybe like give us an insight into your vast experience?
Oh, well, you mentioned already Coco. I have her right here. This is Coco. Very big, as you can see. And she's a corgi, and she's from 2016, made by Templar Creations in Norway. There we go.
Adorable.
I've seen that suit quite a lot.
Sorry. And the second one I have is Jill. And Jill is made by One Eyed Doe. Already like 2011 maybe. So this is already 10 years old. Can you believe it?
Oh, wow.
And
it's held up really well.
Yes, but also sometimes you get things done. So the eyes are pretty new. And I did some nail polish on the nose because she had like bumps in her nose. This is nail polish right there.
That looks great, by the way.
Yes, and she's a second hand. Like, I didn't design this at first, but I saw it on the internet for sale, and I was like, I want to have it. And it was my first fursuit. And she stayed.
You actually suggest that people try either second-hand fursuits or generic fursuits before they go into a financial outlay of getting their own personal character done and everything.
Yeah, it's a smart move. And then you know if it's something for you. And like maybe you're not very good with heat. It can happen. Or you want to be something else. And there's like different types, like material-wise, maybe too heavy or another style. So it's okay to start secondhand. So no problem at all. And it gave me like a great fursuit.
Look at where you are now, almost 10 years later.
That is true.
Before a camera.
And you can kind of like design that character's, personality yourself.
I didn't change the name. Her name was Jill already, like Jail, like prison. And I was like, okay, a bad girl. I want to proceed the bad girl. So that was, she's still Jill.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yes.
And you do a lot of dancing in her. Is it because she's the more like a slim fitting suit?
I can dance in both. But you have to ask your fursuit maker if they can make it like sturdy, extra stitching, and not heavy to make it danceable.
Cool. So I didn't know you could actually like get different types. Are there different styles as well?
Yes, I'm gonna give you a big story, and then after I'm done, I'm gonna ask you if you have any questions, and you can also read the comments in the video. So let's get started. Like I said, I have to.
So just before you start,
yeah.
If anybody has questions, I will be watching the chat in YouTube, and I'll be collecting them, and then I'll just relay to you afterwards.
Yes. I have to look in the camera. I can't look at YouTube. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Let's see. We're gonna start off with fursuit types. Like there's different styles and different names for everything you can do with fursuits. First off, I already said I have Coco, which is a toony fursuit. Toony means very happy, like you see on the cartoons on television, with big eyes, big noses, and more abstract things like not a lot of big teeth, just a few simple teeth. It's very happy, big eyes, big ears, and nice proportions, so you can create something entirely new out of your human body. Just cover it up and be something very cool that you could see on television. That's like toony style. Then you have semi-realistic or semi-toony. That can mean like it's a mix between realistic and toony, which can mean like, okay, you have like big eyes, but then very realistic teeth and nose or claws. It can be very realistic, except for the eyes can be toony. For example, I have here is the fursuit key. As you can see, whiskers, nose, and teeth are very realistic, but the eyes are a little bit more toony. And often I do say like my fursuit Jill is semi-realistic or toony, because you don't see a lot of nostrils and such. Then we have realistic. Ooh, those are the cool ones. Also most times the expensive ones, because you want to imitate the real life animal as much as possible. That means airbrushing, because the fur needs to be the exact right color, or very realistic nose, eyes, lips. The eyes are often they're made of glass. And then you have a little area where you can peek through. So often if you think about vision, toony eyes are the most simple ones. And the realistic ones are hard to see through, but those are real cool. They're really, really cool. Also a little bit pricey, I have to say, because you have to really put a lot of effort in to make it look like the real life animal. As you can see here, that's Gerardor. He's from the Netherlands. And as you can see, he's a bear. Rawr. Then we're going a little bit down to another country or another part of the world where they invented kimono fursuits. Those are very inspired by the Japanese or anime culture, with also, again, the big eyes. It really looks like toony, but because the Asians have such a different style in doing their toony fursuits, they have a different name, and that's kimono. They have often small noses, not like noses like this, but very small, big eyes, very shiny eyes as well, with a lot of detail. And the bodysuits are very big padded often, because they really want to create a very different shape. As you can see, this one here is Kaoru Fox. And then you already told me like you have like 2 types of fursuits and dancing in them. In the body, you have 2 types of fursuit padding, and they have names. Coco is a digigrade fursuit. So that means that there's a lot of padding to change the shape of your body and hide your real life legs. They're not sticks. You have like shapes of the knee of the dog and the heel of the dog. And then of course you have your toes. That's called digigrade. And you create that with a lot of padding or stuffing. Then you have the plantigrade. As you said, that's easier to dance, easier to move. That's absolutely true. That's just really like a stick, or that one there, like a stick going down, shaped around your legs. Nothing special there. Then plushy fursuits. Ooh, they're adorable. I don't have a plushy fursuit to show. Maybe Coco can count a little bit as one. I don't know. But those are really big. They have like padding almost everywhere because they want to imitate like a stuffed animal. Often they are a little bit closed in. Like everything is tied together. You don't have a lot of loose parts because they want to really imitate the nice transitions. Big padding, big hands, a lot of big eyes as well. And you don't really see a realistic fursuit in a plushy style, really. It's really a category of its own. As you can see, this is Kaylin Tiger, a big plushy fursuit. What else? Let's see. What's my next sheet? No, that's it. As I said also, or what we said a little bit before, is you can also partial. That means you only have the head or the hands, at least as the minimum, I think. Then afterwards you can add a tail or feet paws, and you can also add sleeves, like just a bunch of fur around your arm, and that connects a little bit to the back to the other side. And that's called a partial. And one of the things that I really am sad about is people sometimes think partials are less important or less cool. You can do really cool stuff with partial, and it's really just the start of your fursuit experience. So if you don't get a fursuit bodysuit right away, that's fine. Partials can also be really cool because of photo shoots. You can add clothing and such. So I guess those are the types of fursuits. Do you have any questions?
We do have some questions. So you mentioned that realistic suits are very expensive. Obviously, there's a lot of work that goes into it, very expensive. Yeah. So would you suggest that people start with more toony style, or do you think your personality as a person is a more important consideration when choosing your first suit?
Important thing is, what do you want to act? Do you want to be really you? Do you feel like you're you when you created a persona with the colors and your favorite animal? Then, and you want to be bursting with energy, then you can better go toony. But if you think like, I'm an actor, I want to try to imitate an animal as cool as possible, like scare people at a fantasy convention or at a cosplay convention with, oh my God, it looks so real, then you should go realistic, because as a realistic dog, you're not going to be like, can I have the ball? So it really depends on what do you want to act? Do you want to be a silly dog, or do you want to really show off how amazing you could be a polar bear or any other fantasy animal? It's really, for me, about the acting. What do you want to show if you go on the street with your fursuit or on a convention with a fursuit?
So basically, what you need to consider is what you want to do with your fursuit.
Yes.
Owning the fursuit is the secondary thing. What you want to do with it is your first consideration.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Basically, is kind of like, you shouldn't just want to own a fursuit for owning a fursuit. You must decide, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to like just be crazy and happy? Will this be like a way for you to be more extroverted? Or do you want to be like cool with your character, or, you know, be like impressive?
Do you want to go to conventions and be a silly dog with friends, or do you want to go to maybe fantasy or cosplay conventions and try to act like a cosplayer, like for many hours, try to get as many pictures of you as possible? There's of course different types of fursuiting, in the sense of like, what's your goal, what's the hobby behind it? And of course, being just silly at a convention is a valid reason. I love it.
You guys do that so well. Speaking of being silly at a convention, your drop crotch on Coco, does that affect your mobility? Is it something you must consider when deciding to digitigrade, plantigrade, or drop crotch?
Plantigrade is, of course, the most simple one. Also in like washing afterwards or taking care of everything. So if you would say like, what's the first easy one to go for, then it's Plantigrade. And then that's what I did. I went first Plantigrade, and then I know this is my thing and I wanted more, and then I went Digigrade. But it can also be very slim Digigrade, because cocoa is already like a big example of 10 kilos of stuffing, while you just can also have a little bit of more shape around your upper leg, or maybe around your butt. It can also be very light. So
And
don't get
10
scared,
kilos of-
but don't need to be scared for Digigrade.
Excellent. So you also mentioned on the partial. What is your opinion on so-called poodling?
Oh my, controversial opinion.
Controversial topic. Yes.
Well, the thing is, I really like to be cinematic or tell a story. And for me, if you have like an arm showing, that disrupts the story. But that's
so
because I'm very conceptual.
It breaks the magic.
That's the thing. It breaks the magic.
Well,
But people can do it. You're not going to go up to somebody and say, you can't poodle.
never forget, people. Everybody has their endurance in heat. So there are actually people who did the partial thing with sleeves or full bodysuits, and they just do it for 15 or 30 minutes and get tired and can't do anything much more anymore. So maybe some people do it because of healthy reasons. Never forget that.
True. It is very, very hot inside of
Yeah,
fursuit.
that's fair.
Yes. Any more
So
questions?
now that we're good. So we've covered poodling. So now you can actually go us through all the different parts of your fursuit.
You have a fursuit head. That's the first important thing. And as I said, this is like semi-realistic or half toony, and she is made of resin. So that is like plastic material that is molded into very specific shapes, and it's hard, but it's hollow. So that's as you can see, it's hollow. And if I open my mouth, I can breathe. And resin, you have to watch out a little bit, because, of course, if you bump this too hard into anything, it can break. Also, very delicate can be the eyes, because that's just a little tiny bit of fabric. I have sometimes when people want to take a picture of me, or for very rude, they want to poke my eyes. Protect your eyes. Don't let them poke your eyes. And, of course, it's made of faux fur. I'm going to say fur the entire day, I'm sure, but I mean faux fur, not real fur.
No animals harmed in making of this animal.
No. So she's made of resin, she has faux fur, she has paint on her mesh eyes, and it's a little bit heavier than foam, but there's also heavier types of foam. But this one is very light. Coco is very, very light and very, very big. She's made of foam, so I can do lots of things like squeezing and everything, and she won't get hurt. She has a little bit of plastic in her, like in the eyes or in here the teeth. And she has some fake leather on her nose to make it a little bit more shiny. That's why I went with fake leather, and just lots and lots of foam. There we go. Then you have fursuit hands. These are very big because these are for Coco. Like I said, you want to work in proportions. So she has 4 fingers. So one of my fingers is hiding somewhere else. I always forget which one. I just put it in and it works. And this is also fake leather, fur, and a lot of stitching. And she has padding, of course, a little in there to create a shape. I have also without padding. So this really just is 5 fingers, very handy, just a lot of fur and some felt over there, and very, very easy. I have with me feet. Ooh, very big feet. This is a Coco feet. And she has some fake nails. And because I need sturdy feet paws, I have very sturdy feet paws. Like, I don't have pretty leather padding because it will get dirty. I will break it. I need very sturdy paws or feet paws.
Stompy paws.
Stompy. And these are for slipping, anti-slipping. I have these anti-slipping pads to make sure I don't slip. And yeah, there's like stuffing in there as well. Also newspaper. I will tell that later why. Let's see. You have tails. Also just a lot of stuff, a lot of stuffing, and then fur around it. And you need something like a loop. So if you attach it to your bodysuit, you have a belt. Please use a belt, guys. Don't attach it just loosely to your bodysuit. It will rip. Use a belt. Make a little hole there in the back of your bodysuit. Use a belt and let it hang on your body itself and not the bodysuit. There we go. As I said, padding. This is padding for Coco's tail. Coco's bodysuit is there, and there's just a hole in the back in her bodysuit, and then the shape of the tail is created by this. That's also a possibility, but that's because her butt is so low and her tail is so low that I can't put a belt on it. I can maybe, but yeah, that's why it's just loose stuffing.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's possible, but like I said, it's because it's very, very low, the tail, so I can't attach it to my body. If you can choose for attaching it to your body with a belt, do it. And then padding. Oh, look at this. This creates the butt and the heel and the everything for Coco. It's just a big pillow.
That's what makes you tired, not the suiting.
Yes, and then with these clips, I attach it to my Under Armour or my belt. It's like suspenders like this. And it's not that heavy, but that's how you create the shape. And sometimes the bodysuit has already padding sewn in. That's the option for a fursuit maker, or you have loose padding so you can take it out. Any questions?
If you can take the padding out, it's easier to clean afterwards.
Yes, exactly.
So what would your preference be between like the foam head and the resin head? Which one do you think you'd prefer more?
Foam. Because you can do more in it. I can roll around. I'm not afraid to bump my nose. I even went snowboarding with her and I fell right on her head. And I was so afraid that the teeth would be gone, but they're still there. Make it very, very sturdy, of course. But this one is the most soft and not easy to break if it's made well. And always make sure you have a hole to breathe through.
Breathing is important.
What? Nobody's told me.
Reality check.
So we have a question from Saitbint. And his question is in Dutch. It says...
Say it.
Can you do it, or should I read it?
Wat zijn de trends in Nederland?
Wat zijn de trends in Nederland?
Yes. What are the trends in the Netherlands for fursuiting? Are there any trends?
I think the only trend I noticed is that there's been more European fursuit makers. 10 or 5 years ago, the Dutch people thought the only place they could get fursuits would be in America. And that was expensive, so not a lot of people had great, amazing fursuits. But then they started to invent themselves, like maybe I can be a fursuit maker. So we have a lot more Dutch fursuit makers who do a lot of different styles, but also more European fursuit makers. So that's the only trend I see, and it's actually a good trend. And I don't really see a lot of realistic fursuits in the Netherlands, but more toonie, I guess. Because we also have FURSAverance close by, which is a big summer furry convention in Berlin. That's 6 hours away driving for us. So yeah, I think toonie is more here than the realistic, but it's also being more European made instead of American.
Basically what we're seeing in South Africa as well, aren't we, Yote?
Yes, I was about to say that afterwards. I'm like sitting here with what do you call it, man? Chicken meat, man. Goosebumps listening to your story. I'm like, wow, it's very similar to what's happening here.
Yes.
In a couple of years, we'll be where you are. So that is actually a very good prospect to have.
Pretty exciting, not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting. I don't know if you're going to cover this later, but would you? I've seen at some other convention that I've been at that they wear thin cycling gloves under the
Cycling
handballs.
gloves. Okay.
Yes,
Well,
very thin cycling gloves.
I'm going to talk about what do you have to wear underneath your bodysuit a little bit later on in the story.
But,
What I wanted
So
to talk
basically-
about now was what do you need to get a fursuit made? Like 2 still things you need to do before you can make a fursuit.
okay, go for it.
Go for it. First, you need a reference sheet. And that's very, 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 very handy for a fursuit maker to know what do you want. Because usually you don't just send a picture of a real life dog or a real life lion, like I want this. Maybe if you go realistic, but still make a reference sheet. Because that will explain to a fursuit maker how do you want the body or how do you want the character to look like. Maybe you can also write a little bit down about their personality so they know that it can be a little bit mean or just very, very cute, and just show off what you would like to see in real life that you do with a reference sheet. And then you have to make a duct tape dummy. 9 out of 10 times you have to make a duct tape dummy. And that's like you get an overall, like a painter's overall that's made of very thin paper or plastic material. You put it on, and then someone else or 2 or 3 other people, just get as many people as you can, put duct tape on you in very strips in 2 or 3 layers, and then you can cut yourself out of it. And then you have a model of your entire body, and you send it to the fursuit maker. They stuff it again, tape it up, and then they exactly know how your body looks from neck to ankles. And
How long
that's
does
very,
that
very
actually
handy.
take? How long does it take to actually make a duct tape dummy?
If you do it with just one person, I did it once. I did do it with one person, and then it took too long, like 2 or 3 hours, and the person has to stand like a T, and they didn't feel their legs anymore after 3 hours.
Protein dominance.
So you do it with 3 people at least, and you hope you're not going to take over 2 hours.
It's good tip. Get friends, guys. Get friends.
Get friends. Good tip. And if you are about fursuit material still, if you are really, really good in what you're doing and the fursuit to note what they're doing, you can also hide in the fursuit head a little fan maybe. Like there's maybe some space there. And you can use like those fans you have in the computer, like a really, really small one. Do I have one here? I think I do. Yes, this one. You can hide maybe such a little thing in your fursuit head. It can also be in toonie. I don't see it that often, but that can also be very handy to keep yourself cool, like a little fan.
A bit of
here.
air.
You would be surprised what wonder just movement of air could do in that hot head.
Exactly. Any other questions?
So actually, while you're there at the electronics, I've got a question here from Cyanide. And they ask, I'm concepting my fursuit, but I want to add electronics. What suggestions do you have?
RGB.
I never had a fursuit made with electronics except maybe a fan. And I don't have any friends who have a lot of them. So then you should just troll the internet, find a fursuit maker who already did it, and ask them if they can maybe help you or can make something for you. Because it's very dangerous, of course, to have cables and electricity running around your body. You have to know what you're doing. So I'm not going to say what you should do because it's very dangerous. You should find someone who knows better than me. Because like I said, you have to work with maybe little battery packs around your body and cabling and next level, dude. Next level.
Next level communication.
I'm not at that level.
You could be.
But then I can't, I want to move freely and not worry about
No.
cables.
Exactly. You want to have fun and not worry about breaking something.
It can be very fashionable, but
I think that ties back to like what you want out of a fursuit.
exactly. Do you want to shine on the dance floor? Literally.
Literally.
Any other
For you.
questions?
Take the chance. No. So here's a question regarding eyes, also from Cyanide.
Mhm.
What is the best material to use for eyes? in your opinion?
I was afraid already for fursuit maker questions. I'm not a first maker. That's the biggest problem. But what I can tell is, of course, that you want to use paint that's waterproof. These are not entirely waterproof, so I shouldn't get it entirely wet and then smudge it. So usually when I get a little bit of water on it, I just try to damp it off or just blow it off a little bit. You need a material with little holes because you need to see through, but you don't want them too big as well, those little holes, because then it will break the illusion a little bit of have someone hitting in there. I'm not sure what the material is called for the material with the little holes in it that people use in the eyes. I forgot the name.
Generally, what they call it is buckram.
Oh, that's so true. Oh, thank you so much. It's buckram. Well, yeah, there's a lot of different types of small holes, big holes. But like I said, waterproof paint helps a lot because there's going to be moist there. That's absolutely sure. But you sometimes with kimono fursuiters, they put plastic in front of it, like transparent plastic. I had that as well. But then you need enough air flowing through the fursuit head itself, like you can breathe well. Otherwise, it will get moist on the plastic inside, and that will obscure your vision or maybe get on the paint. Like so yeah, you can
like wearing glasses with a mask.
Yeah, so you can protect the mesh or protect the buckram with plastic, but that has also like maybe implications on it will get moist in there and you see little droplets there. So again, this is a little bit first maker questions. So I don't know the really good answers.
Basically, from a fursuit perspective, the bigger your eyes are, the more ventilation you actually have in your head.
True. But the best is still the mouth. Mouth is still the best place to go.
Absolutely. I've also seen some makers make, they hollow out the muzzle and then they make through the nostrils, they make like little holes so there's like a airflow coming through it. But obviously you need a fan to like move that air around as well.
Yes. I'm going to ask you a little bit because I have a lot of different topics, but I'm not sure already with the time that we're going to cover it all. Should I maybe already skip to fursuiting performance, because that's what I think is what most people are interested in, instead of also the cleaning part and stuff?
I think so. Definitely that.
Yeah, maybe if there's time after that.
Performer.
Yes, I will go to fursuit performance for a little bit. I don't have the title here, so just ignore it because I'm not sure what afterwards. I first care. Fursuit performance. I'm going to tell you my #1 rule. If you are a fursuit and go either on a convention floor or go to a fancy festival or cosplay thing, #1 rule: never stand still. Always move. Don't be a stick. That's creepy.
That's boring.
Today. Oh my goodness. I look at it now and I'm like, oh no, I stood absolutely still. No.
That's boring.
I'm a bit guilty of that because I need to get into it. And sometimes I get into certain, I'm just not like into it right off the bat.
Yeah. But then you can do stuff just like changing your weight on your hips or just have a hand like out. So my #1 rule is never stand still because it gets creepy and that freaks people out because you have like eyes like focused on
those
one
dead
thing.
Eyes.
The dead eyes, or maybe the follow eyes as well. Like people think like, why is it staring at me? My #1 rule is never stand still and just keep on moving, just even it's just left and right or just a paw going up and down, because you want to animate, you want to create an illusion, and that's not going to work if you're a stick. My second tip is use your assets. Like literally Coco has an ass, so that's her asset. Awesome. And use it. So for example, Jill has a very excellent moving jaw. So I can just be like, rah, or do a lip sync, use it. Because every fursuit has their specific amazing qualities that a fursuit maker made or you came up with. Use it and find them. Like, for example, like I said, with the moving jaw, or even with just a paw. Mine is so big. It's already very animatic if I do something with the fingers, like woo. That can be very, very cool. Yeah, it's still stuff with paper, so I can't put my
Adorable.
hand in there.
I think
If you're a fennec and have very big ears, play with your ears. Stuff like that. Did you want to say something?
no, I wanted to say that I think using what your fursuit has in terms of that, it really comes down to knowing what looks good on what you do with your fursuit. So for instance, some things works on certain fursuits. Like my fursuit has really floppy ears, and I like flaunting those floppy ears, and it's part of the personality. And you need to know what looks good on those fursuits,
It's also animal inspired. Like I wanted to have a corgi because it was a dog with a big fluffy butt. That's what attracted me to the corgi. So then I put it on my fursuit. If you love a specific animal because of their shape, you're gonna use their shape, like very slim, like a minx or something, and then you're gonna be very, use your body and show off that you have the slim body. And it really depends on the animal. What do you want to show?
Just one thing. Thank you, Fasman, for the $5 tip. We really appreciate it. And then a question. So would you do, since you guys are both performers, would you suggest standing in front of a mirror and actually seeing what your actions look like to somebody else?
I did that. That's actually that was my fourth tip. Thank you for spoiling it.
Spoiler alert.
No, it's perfect. Someone came up with it itself. Yes, just stand in front of a camera and know how it looks like. And I also wanted to say, come up with fun poses. And that's what you do in front of a camera. Because, for example, with Coco, I know it's going to be very cute if I have my big head and then put my hands like this. Then I'm so cute. And I practice that in the mirror. And that's also a tip of mine. Have some fun poses, like 2 or 3 things that works every time to get someone happy or take a nice picture. Get some poses in there. Ooh.
Oh my goodness, I'm very guilty of having just like one pose for every photo taken.
Peace sign.
More. Find them in the mirror.
Yeah, no, I definitely need to do that.
Yeah. And also of course, when you have seen yourself doing one pose, you maybe discover that you use a lot of the same side of your head or the same pose of your head. And then you can also play around with it. Like, should I do something else? For example, I know with Jill, she has a good side, but she has a lesser side. This one I don't find as pretty as the other side, but you can still do a lot of things instead of just this. But that's try and error. And after maybe a year of fursuiting, you see a lot of pictures of yourself in the same pose. Sure, then go find a mirror and find some new poses. With the hands, or just very big.
So we have a question here that says, how would you explain your first time being in a fursuit?
Ooh, my first time was at a Dutch furry's house because I wanted to try fursuiting. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to spend a lot of money on fursuiting. So I went to a friend's house and I tried the fursuit, and he turned on the camera for me from a webcam and showed me how it looked and recorded it and gave it to me when I went home. And I already saw that I was like doing silly stuff that I never did before, because you're incognito and that really does something to people. It's the same as cosplay or drag queens, that if you have something covering your identity, you become something else and you become more extraordinary. And that's what I saw the first time when I tried it.
Yeah, that is one of the big things about fursuiting, is you can be who you want to be, which is great. You can be angry, you can be impressive, you can be silly. So you can be something that you don't always get an opportunity to be in real life.
That's the magic of fursuiting. Everybody always talks about the magic of fursuiting. That's what it is.
Yes. If we're talking about the good sides of fursuiting, I also have a little bit of a warning next, but we can still have some questions about the good side, and then I'm going to give a warning.
Go.
Any questions on the good part?
Let me quickly see. So somebody said here, so even fursuits have their good sides.
Yes.
And it's true.
It's true.
And you must find that good side for your photos.
Well,
Yes.
for example, Jill had like hair like this. Like then, of course, I also think like one side's better. This one is not a very good side. But this
The
one,
others.
oh, that's adorable.
No, that perspective
Even if
so
it's still
cute.
symmetric. I know. Any other questions?
That is it. It looks like it. No, that's good.
Okay, then I'm gonna go to a very serious topic because I'm not sure, but is South Africa hot?
Yes.
Then we also need to talk about knowing your limits and knowing that it can also get very dangerous if you don't take enough care of yourself when you are in a hot costume. So I borrowed this from FURSAverance, and that's like how to recognize you're getting exhausted because of the heat or when you're even getting close to a heat stroke. Very important. I never had it before, but I do remember when I didn't drink enough or didn't take enough breaks and I went to undress and take a shower. I felt like throbbing in my head. I've heard a very high beep, and yeah, it can be very dangerous. And that's why it's sometimes a joke. But you see ambulances in front of a convention hotel. That can be from somebody overheating. It's not all the alcohol as well. It can be also the alcohol only, but also the combination is very bad. So
But what you're saying is don't drink when you're fursuiting. It is a bad combo.
alcohol.
Yes.
Well,
Who
Alcohol.
of
drinks in
course, when you're
fursuits?
partying, you can.
Dehydrating.
I'm not going to say don't drink and drive or don't drink and fursuit because
You can fursuit.
a little bit, of course, is not that dangerous, but drink water as well. Most important thing, drink water and get some air in between. I've had days where I was in fursuit for 6 hours, but sometimes I was just laying on a bed, just breathing and relaxing and getting my heartbeat a little bit down and having a drink. And I'm not going to read the entire thing here. If you can just take a screenshot and just remember that you need to drink well if you fursuit. There's also other ways to keep yourself cool with like cooling vests and a lot of fans, but still, watch out. It's a very hot costume. That's what I really wanted to tell you guys.
Would you say that you should appoint one of your friends as a water carrier and say every half hour you must make me take a drink?
That's very strategic. Very well. Good
Yeah.
idea.
As a South African fursuiter, I've got a lot of experience with the heat, full suit and heat and stuff. And one thing that my handlers always do is they literally force me to drink water. Or I would go stand in a corner, they would ask me, "Are you thirsty? Do you want something to drink? Do you want to cool down?" And then that helps a lot in terms of longevity, being able to go along, because we want to go along in the suits. But overheating is a thing. I've felt myself overheat more than once before, and then I just go stand in the corner and even if my handler doesn't ask, I just tell them, "You know what, could you please help me out? Just grab me a bottle of water or something."
Yes.
Also lose track of time inside a suit.
Yes.
I don't really keep track of time.
Exactly.
Luckily, I know my body in the sense of I get the signals, but not everybody gets the signals. Or you did drink too much alcohol to ignore the signals. So usually when I'm at a convention, when I come up with anyone who's specifically a water carrier for me or for the convention, I'll just take 2 or 3 sips and then I walk 10 minutes. And if there's another person with a lot of water, I take 2 sips. So I take every chance I get. Of course, you don't want to have too much, but don't forget.
I think a thing that also you need to remember in terms of that is, for myself personally, my body adjusts to the heat in the suit. There's a point that I completely forget that I'm actually like hotter than what I'm supposed to be. And then when I take a break, I realized, oh, sure, I'm too hot.
Yes. Shall we skip to the next subject?
Definitely.
Let's see what I wrote down. See. Fursuit care. Yes. I think this is very important as well. And we're going to start with brushing. There we go. Nice. Do you know this brush?
It's a slicker.
It's a slicker version.
It's if you own huskies like Yote does, he is well acquainted with the slicker brush.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
I'm going to show you how to brush with a slicker brush. Because when you brush your dog, do you do it like this? Like this. Right? That's a little bit hard for this fur. I recognize, or I advise, to just not have like going hard in, but turn it around. And that does plenty. See?
Yeah, I see it. So instead
You
of
don't have to
pulling
go in.
out, you
And
just smooth it out.
yeah, this is already fine enough.
Because it's not going to grow back if you pull it out.
Yeah, exactly. This is really too harsh on it. It really tries to rip it off, and that's too much. So just turn the slicker brush around. It's a little bit superficial. It's really on the surface. So if you then want to go deeper to get really like the knotting out, you need to have something with the teeth. But then this one is specifically with round teeth and not with the sharp teeth. And I can use that one to go deeper, and then don't go immediately like straight in and go down. You can also start with like an angle. First upper angle, then it doesn't go too deep. And then you can go a little bit deeper by turning it. You don't want to do this except if you really have deep knots in there or tied ups in there. But that's how you go a little bit deeper. And just start with a nice light angle because it already does enough for the look. And just if you want to get really into the knots, you go a little bit more in a horizontal angle. Do you get it?
That is a very good tip. I would have ruined my fursuit.
I think a lot of people underestimate the importance of brushing a fursuit because, you know, having a fursuit and having it look a bit tatty isn't the best. Just a quick brush before you go and suit, it just makes it look so much better.
Yes. And of course you have different lengths of fursuit, like you have the long hair. Then you have to use like maybe the one with the big teeth and go through it. But here it's not going to do much. It's not going to do much. But this one is usually, if it's very short, you can just brush it as well a little bit. Or then you use the slicker brush again, turned to make it a little bit more better.
All the fibers lying in the right direction again.
Yes, that's what you do. You get them in the right direction.
No.
And again, the slicker brush turned is plenty. You don't want to get them out.
I see you've marked your slicker brush because headless lounges are a hotbed of things that get lost.
Things that get lost. I even have, if you have a convention and I have black or white feet paws or black and white hand paws, that's the most common color. And then you have like the fursuit lounge full with hand paws or feet paws on dryers. And then you're like, which black one is mine? So it's really nice.
So mark everything.
Oh yeah, I can see how you can maybe take someone else's home by accident.
It happens. But luckily, fursuit makers have very distinct styles, so you can find yours. Or just be smart like me and just make it different, just a little bit.
Yeah, it's your toes.
Yes.
Also the different colors.
Exactly the same one.
Let's see.
Well, kind of.
I'm going to talk about storage. Storage, I'm going to keep it very short. If you have to store fursuit parts, any of them, don't put them in a box where they get cramped in. Like you want to stuff everything in that little box. Okay, and now I'm going to close it for 2 months before I go to my next fursuit gig. And then if you get it out, it's going to be more wrinkled and the foam is going to be repressed. So if you can store your fursuit parts, just keep them in their original shape. Don't squeeze them in too much. If you have to travel, of course, in the luggage, you can do it for 1 or 2 days. But the first thing I do when I get into my hotel is open the first case, get everything out so it doesn't squeak or squeeze in too much and destroy the shape. Fursuit heads, I can tell you storage as well. I have like a fake head in there, so I can just put it up right on like my closet. And if you have like this kind of mouth and you put it on a shelf and it closes the mouth, then it will also affect the next time, or just a definite shape about how much is going to open the next time. So if you have a mouth that can close like this, and you put it on the shelf, try to put something in there. For example, just a ducky. There.
A ducky?
Then it
That's
keeps
adorable.
it open. Then it keeps it open, and then you're not gonna change the shape of the mouth if you have it on your closet for like a few months or weeks. And then if you hang up your bodysuit, if you have a lot of stuffing in there, like not removable, that's of course possible, then you shouldn't hang your bodysuit the entire time on a hanger, because it's a lot of weight and it's going to affect stitching. It's going to make it weaker or even break it. So if you can, with a bodysuit, try to find a solution, if it's very, very heavy with a lot of padding, to lift it up some way, or have the padding hanging on something else inside of the hanger, but not on the stitching from the entire bodysuit. I think those are the most important tips.
Don't be like me and keep your suit in a suitcase for like almost a year.
What happened?
Lockdown happened.
Okay. Oh, I forgot one more tip. I have my fursuit hats in the living room. Watch out for the sun, because everything that with paint or with any kind of paint, actually, don't get direct sun on it. So don't let it in a living room or a sleeping room with a lot of direct sun on it, because it will bleach.
Goodness, that's true.
Yeah, it's a material, so it will fade it after a while. So it's a good idea to keep it out of sun.
Yes.
So
let's see if I see my list. Something else I forgot. No,
we
that's
have
about
one
it for
question
storage.
that has bearing on maybe something that you haven't touched on yet. Is what do you use to keep your fur soft, clean, and in good condition? That's from Kepri. There you go.
Cleaning. Wait. I'm gonna show you. Love your fursuit, wash and brush. Wait, that way. I'm going to just keep it rolling. My fursuits are made to be able to go to the laundry machine. Very handy. But I'm sure not everybody has that option. So you can wash your fursuit in maybe a bathtub or a big bucket. That's mostly for like the bodysuit. When you have a fursuit hat, that's not very often into a laundry machine. There are some specific fursuit makers who can do it, but not a lot. So the fursuit hat, you just do surface. I always say the wrong thing. Just the surface. So I have like a washing cloth, wet, with just a little bit of soft detergent for soft clothes like wool or very delicate clothes. And just try to make it soapy, like real white fur. It's very important to keep it clean. And then with a lot of water, try to rinse it out again, but don't get this entire thing wet because it will dry forever. So after fursuiting, you can also use a little bit of hygiene spray or disinfection spray. It's usually, if you want to make it yourself, 70% alcohol. And this will also, if you're at a convention, clean your fursuit, just the basic, get the stink out and just put it over your fursuit, often on the inside. I don't do it on the outside. Turn it inside out and just spray in there. And that will save your fursuit when you're on a convention. Like I said, soft laundry detergent or washing cloth for the fursuit head. If it's wet and you want to dry it off, don't hang it in the sun. Like you saw in my little video over there, I hang it in the shadow of a tree because the sun, if it's wet and maybe has a little bit of detergent still in the bodysuit, it can also change the color, especially on white. So don't try your fursuit in the sun. Your best friend is air. Air flowing is the best solution to dry a fursuit that's been wet after cleaning, but also wet after fursuiting. And of course, you can use fans or just the air outside, but you can also dry it with paper from like a newspaper. This fursuit was wet yesterday, I swear, because I've been fursuiting for 2.5 hours. And I remove all the paper that's in there, just little clumps of paper. Let's feel. It's absolutely more dry. It's absolutely more dry. It will stink a little bit more, or no, it will stink a little bit still, of course, but that will only be removed with like a proper wash in a laundry machine or in your bathtub with soft detergent. There's some discussions about the other detergent you can use to make things smell nice and make it softer. I used it sometimes. It didn't hurt my fursuits, but maybe if you're in doubt, ask your first maker. What's it called? You have wasmiddel and I forgot the name. The other stuff you can use to put in your laundry machine and make it more soft or smell nicer.
Fabric softener.
Thank you.
We understand, don't worry.
Okay, that's the quick how to wash your fursuit. Any questions? This was very quick.
Looks like that is it. Last question. Where can people follow you and your fursuiting exploits?
Oh, dang, already at the end. Oh, no. Let's see. I have a picture for that. There. My name is Wolvinny, and you can find me on Twitter. I have Instagram, but I don't use it that much, so don't tag me there. Wolvinny on Twitter or Wolvinny on YouTube. And I have an entire explanation on YouTube about how to dance in fursuit, if you're interested in that.
I'm gonna watch that.
Next year, we have a dance competition.
Yes.
Oh, exciting. Are you going to join?
Yes.
I dance like a potato.
Everybody
We can dance like 2 potatoes then.
2 potatoes.
How do potatoes dance? I don't know. Must be fun.
New dance we can figure out, the potato dance.
Oh, thank you so very much, Wolvinny. We really appreciate it. We learned a lot.
Awesome.
yeah, even me.
Ooh, even you. We should have scheduled for 1.5 hours because I still have lots to tell, and it was so much fun with you. I also love you guys. So, but yeah, we have to give the stage to also other people, and not only just those two brats, Coco and Brat Jill. Like those. Oof, they have enough attention now.
They can never have enough attention.
So very much. We really appreciate you actually giving us time, even after your Nordic FuzCon panel last night.
It's all right.
We appreciate it.
It's okay.
And we hope to see you around.
Hope to see you around. Come to Europe. Go to Europe, Jurgens.
I'm trying my best to get out of the country.
Same.
Well done. Good luck with
That's it.
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
No, we are heading into VR games now. I think if anybody wants to join, they can join on the FURSAverance.
No, we're going to be doing...
Pseudo, where do they need to go?
They can't hear me at the moment. I'll tell them when we switch over.
Okay, cool. Instructions to follow. But thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Yote. Thank you, Wolvinny. We'll try it again. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. That was really cool. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.